Hello, everybody, and of course, welcome back to another episode of X Talking Ish with your boy X.
And ish.
You already know what to do. If you are on Facebook, please make sure you like and share this broadcast. If you are on our Facebook page, please make sure you go ahead and hit that like button at our X Talking Ish Facebook page. And as well, if you are on YouTube, as always, hit that red subscribe button for shows like this one. And as well, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can be notified for shows like this one in the future.
Ding.
Thank you for that, Ish. Thank you for that. And
Yes,
as
sir.
well, if
Yes,
you are
sir.
on Twitter, please go ahead and check us out on the Periscope. I went ahead and retweeted it on my personal page at X_Williams81. And of course, our X Talking Ish page is on Twitter. You can check us out on there through Periscope. All righty then. We know why y'all are here. I know for sure. My boy Fracture Walnut has been waiting for this this mock draft episode. He's been asking about it for at least a month, at least 2 months now. I know, but a week after the season was over with, I know he was
Oh
asking about it. I
yeah.
know
Oh
Lee's
yeah.
asking for it and been waiting on it. So of course it's finally here. The first and the only mock draft that we're going to do because we are not Mel Kiper or Todd McShay. We do not get paid for this. So I'm not going to have mock
I'm not
draft
gonna do it.
2.0, 3.0, 4.0. Ain't going to happen on this
No,
show. So we're
not at
going to go
all.
ahead and talk about that. And the first thing, unfortunately, we are going to talk about, of course, is the biggest news. Um, I would say, unfortunately, of the offseason. I mean, all the crazy things that we've had throughout this offseason ish. And to have this happen, it's very for me ish. I don't know about you. It's unfortunate that we have to talk about it. It's also uncomfortable for me. And what I mean by that is this is a guy that didn't even get an opportunity to rewrite what he messed up, what or quote unquote what his young career was at the time. I'm not saying he messed it up and or anything like that. I'm just saying he was a young guy. We talked about that on this show plenty of times, to where I think we both felt that Washington wasn't a good spot for him because that's where he's from. He felt too comfortable, and it just wasn't a good spot for him. Ish. Let's be real. People can go back and go watch our previous episodes when we talked about Dwayne Haskins when it comes to his nickname being Strip Club Haskins. The things we talk about on this show and when it comes to athletes, besides it being jokes, we as former athletes ourselves are never going to talk down on someone in a personal light. Everything that we do is on the field. We're gonna talk about what your performance on the field. I don't care about who you date. I don't care about your whereabouts. Outside of the football field. But for the most part, a guy like Dwayne Haskins, I'm pretty sure you've seen the outpour ish after his death, but it was nothing but positives. And of course, we'll get to the Adam Scheffler tweet in a little bit, but it was nothing but positives. And it seemed like, for the most part, I mean, he was a good guy that just had a rough start in the NFL. And the best thing for him, and I've always stated this, was him going to Pittsburgh to be able to be in an organization that's stable and a coach that's stable and knows what he's doing, and to be able to have a coach like Mike Tomlin be there to wrap your arm around, for him to wrap his arm around Dwayne Haskins to say, "Don't worry, we got you. Just buy into the program." It seemed like he was doing that. He was in Florida. He was working out. He was getting ready for the season, and just this unfortunate, untimely death when this happened is just very unfortunate. Ish. I'll throw it to you before I finish up, but I just want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah. Man. It was really unexpected. It was really sad to hear. For those people who know me and know who I support as far as when it comes to college football, I am a Ohio State fan. I love watching Ohio State, and to see this guy and what he did at Ohio State. I was rooting for this man in the NFL. As much as we used to come on here and I would poke fun and joke and stuff like that, like you said before, it was all jokes, man. Ultimately, I wanted the best for him, and I was excited for his opportunity in Pittsburgh. And it sounded like all the right things were happening there. He was really ingrained in the community, doing wonderful things there in Pittsburgh. Um, He was a great teammate. He was going in, putting in the work, and it looked like his career was on the up and up. To me, I definitely thought he was going to get the opportunity this upcoming year to start, and he was going to, really run with that opportunity. So I was really excited to see him move forward. But unfortunately, the Lord had other plans, and man, it's so sad. But definitely prayers out to his family, prayers out to those close to him. You can tell just what he meant to those around him and to his teammates, and just seeing all the love and the outpouring that's coming out. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Life is short, and you just don't want to take these things for granted because um, this is a guy that he was young, 27. He was a guy in the prime of his life, doing what he loved, only for things to come to a really tragic end. So, like I said, man, just prayers to his family, dude. There's not much you can say here because it's just so sad, and so tragic to have a guy like this lose his life. Just when it seemed like everything was going well for him in his life, not just like on the football field, but just in life in general. So, yeah, man.
No, I definitely agree, man. Everything that you said is, you hit the nail on the head on that one. Let me get to the comment section right quick. Fracture Walnut, he also says, I honestly feel like he could have took the starting gig for the Steelers this season. Great team guy, always smiling and happy. I mean, I think we're all in agreement on that one, Fracture, when it comes to. I mean, don't get me wrong, man. I think Mitch Trubisky is a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but it was going to be competition amongst that position. And nothing is guaranteed, as we see with his unfortunate timely death. When it comes to that QB1 position for the Steelers, wasn't going to be a guaranteed spot for Mitch Trubisky from week 1 to week 18. So I felt like Dwayne Haskins sooner or later was going to get an opportunity maybe to come in and rewrite, what he left off in Washington. And like you said, I mean, it's unfortunate that the Lord out here is, he has plans of his own, and I think for everybody that's listening in, I feel like it should give you an opportunity to say to yourself, man, life really isn't short, and I do not know when I'm leaving, so let me make the best of it, and let me go ahead and, you know, care and love the people that are around me that I care about, and let's also, uh, make best of the opportunities that I have out here in this world. No matter if it's with your work, with your family, or you personally. I hope for the people that's in the football community, I hope we all use this as a learning experience to attack the day. I'm not trying to use any Oregon Duck slogans or anything like that out here, but I'm just being honest when it comes to not taking your day or even your life for granted ish. So very tragic. It's just unfortunate, and we wish Dwayne Haskins' family and the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Washington Commanders organization, our condolences. All righty then, like I said before, y'all came here to check us out with the NFL mock draft, and that's what we are here for. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And of course, the reason why honestly I like the NFL draft is because for the first time, it gives bad teams the spotlight. Because usually throughout the season, bad teams, nobody wants the Jaguars, nobody wants the Iowa Lions, the Houston Texans. Nobody want to watch that, right? But
The Lions get plenty of spotlight. They're gonna be on Hard Knocks. They get to play on Thanksgiving, and everybody's forced to watch them. Like, what you talking about, man?
That's this year. Harder on Hard Knocks this year. They ain't never been on Hard Knocks before, but I got you though. You're right on that. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into the nitty gritty. The first pick of the 2022 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select, and for me, I have Aiden Hutchinson. Ish has Trayvon Walker.
Trayvon Walker,
Ish, you go ahead and go first.
Georgia. At this point, it's a no-brainer. There's going to be a defensive end selected first. I don't think that there's going to be any changes unless the Jags trade out of the position. For me, I was on the Aiden Hutchinson train for a little while, but the noise happening behind the scenes and starting to come out, to the forefront is that they really like the upside of Trayvon Walker. A lot of people seem to like the upside of Trayvon Walker. They like his athleticism. They like his arm length. They like his what they've seen on tape. And I think where there is smoke, there is normally fire when it comes to these NFL teams and what their preference is or how much they are excited about a certain guy in the draft. And I think for me, Trayvon Walker is sounding more and more like he's the guy that they feel a little bit better about in the future. So I got Trayvon Walker going. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Hutchinson. It's just really, this is one of those positions, and we talked about it before the show. There are a lot of positions this year where there's not really a clear number one guy. There are a couple guys in play at these positions, and this is the first one for me where I'm just going with what I'm hearing the smoke from, and not necessarily the guy that has been trending as the number one guy in that position.
And of course, as always, I would want to give everybody a disclaimer: we do not see each other's picks. We do not know what each individual is picking for the mock draft. Even, of course, for our game picks in the future when we have our shows, when we announce our picks for who wins for that Sunday or even Monday Night Football game. We do not know who is picking what, so this is our first time seeing each other's picks. This number one pick, honestly, I think it's going to be very interesting because I don't think there's a guaranteed individual that the Jacksonville Jaguars are sold on right now. So, just because I'm going with Aiden Hutchinson does not mean that that's going to be the guy. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Let me get to the comment section right quick. My boy Dominique Powell says, hey, what's up, fellas?
What up, what up?
Appreciate you, Dominique. We'll get to your Carolina Panthers real soon. Don't worry about that. Fraction One also says, Jack said they're going to be shocked. They're going to shock the world number one pick. I just don't know who. It'd be funny if they took Sauce number one. Well, if they do that, they
cool.
definitely will shock the world. It'd be very silly of them to do that, but wouldn't be the first time the Jags do something silly, right? So we'll see what happens with that. All right, number two pick in the draft. Of course, a familiar name you just saw with Ish, with Mr. Aiden Hutchinson. He goes number two. I have Mr. Malik Willis, quarterback out of Liberty, and I will let everybody know why I picked that after Ish and talks about his pick at number two.
Aiden Hutchinson is everybody in the NFL is really high on him. I think when it comes to why I didn't have him number one, it's the upside. People are a little bit higher on Trayvon Walker's upside than Aiden Hutchinson, but Aiden Hutchinson is a guy that can come in and impact immediately. And for me, it just makes sense. Michigan kid, Michigan, team. What better way to, bring the hype home, continue, go into Hard Knocks with a good storyline, bring in Aiden Hutchinson. So I got Aiden Hutchinson going number two to the Detroit Lions.
I love everything you said, honestly. I really do, and I 1,000% agree because, honestly, I was thinking that same way when I was going to at first put Hutchinson at number two because, again, it's a great storyline. You're a Michigan guy going, staying in the state. I agree. Again, Hard Knocks, it's a great storyline. I agree with everything that you're talking about. The reason why I went quarterback, though, is because with Malik Willis, we all know that Jared Goff for the Lions is a bridge quarterback for the next quarterback.
I don't think we necessarily know that.
The reason why I say this, is because I think for the Lions, I feel like they can actually find a way to do what Green Bay was not able to do. And what I mean by that is you draft a quarterback who is supposed to succeed the current quarterback.
Not at number two.
You're right. Usually number twos are going to play week one. I got that. But with a guy like Malik Willis, we all do know as well, too, the competition that he was playing against in Liberty is not the same as SEC, Big Ten, or even the Big 12.
He was a former SEC quarterback.
SEC quarterback. But did he play against former SEC opponents in this
year?
That's my point.
I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying he went to an
I
SEC school. He was
I
good enough to
got
go
that.
there
My
before.
point is that if the Lions, if they are actually smart in that management group to say, we can take a guy, let him maybe sit for this year and
Mm,
learn and get better, learn behind a
mm-hmm,
guy like Jared Goff who's been to a Super Bowl.
mm-hmm,
We can implement him in the second year and
mm,
have him be our franchise guy for the next 10 to 15 years.
mm-hmm.
I know why Ish is grinning over there because he's going to tell me that if you get pick number 2, you probably should play week 1, which I am not disagreeing with him with.
You are right.
But the certain circumstances
Mm-hmm,
are different for every organization. And I
mm-hmm.
feel like for this organization, if they want to change the narrative on how people look at them, you might want to do the right thing and have your future be protected in this nice little box so you can be able to have him in the next 10 to 15 years,
Mm-hmm.
Ish.
So, no, I'm smiling and I'm liking everything you're saying because, yes, I'm thinking that way, right? Like, you're saying a lot of what I thought for the Lions as well, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And that's kind of a spoiler alert for later in the draft.
mm-hmm.
But for me, number 2 is not the place where you do that. You can't do it at number 2 because of
You're
what we
right.
saw
I
with
mean,
Trey
you're right.
Lance. I mean, we've seen it time and time again. No matter how much you say we're gonna let this guy sit for a year, oh, he's gonna learn. You can't if it's a quarterback in the top 5, he's not gonna sit very long, especially on a team as bad as the Lions are, and especially with a guy who not everyone's sold on Jared Goff, right? Like they made that trade, but Jared Goff going to the Lions wasn't necessarily the silver lining of that trade, right? It was all the draft capital they got back. It wasn't Jared Goff. I think a lot of Lion fans, I think the organization in general, they're kind of whatever. You know, if he works out, he works out. If he doesn't, he doesn't. But I don't think they're sold on him. But I don't think you can at 2 get a guy to sit and wait behind Jared Goff because that's too high. It's just too high. I'm sorry. I like everything. I agree with everything you said except for the pick. Like the logic, everything you're saying right now, I totally agree. 100%. The Lions need to get that guy behind Jared Goff that can sit, watch him, and give him some time. I just don't think 2 is the place you can do
Look,
that at.
we're all on the same page. Me, you, let's get to the comment section. Even in the comment section, I think we all understand what's going on. It's just what are the Lions going to do with that pick? I mean, what's going to happen? Dominique Powell says, "X, you right about the competition he faced, though. That's the only thing I'm concerned on." I agree. I feel the same way with Trey Lance. Ish brought it up about Trey Lance. We have to wait and see how he performs. Fracture One also says, "X, I hear you. I do, but it's the Lions, bro. And I'm sorry, Jared Goff ain't the person to learn from. I mean,
He's not going to learn from Jared Goff per se. I think
again, we're all correct, okay? I mean, I'll say, I'm sorry. Y'all are more correct about maybe not learning from Jared Goff because if anything, people felt like Jared Goff was a system quarterback to Sean McVay, but a lot of people say Sean McVay is probably one of the best offensive young gifted minds in the NFL. Yeah. So, I mean, look, this whole thing is wild. This draft is going to be wild. The first round is going to be wild just due to all the movement before the draft even start when it comes to teams having 2 picks in the first round. I mean, this is going to be wild, okay? So none of this is set in stone at all. Who knows? Somebody, the Green Bay Packers could come up and take the number 2 pick from them. I mean, I don't think I wouldn't be surprised at all if the Lions drop down, right? So none of this is set in stone. This is just, of course, mock draft stuff, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Yep. As we go ahead and move forward to the 3rd pick of the draft, the Houston Texans. I have Mr. Charles Cross out of tackle out of Mississippi State, and Ish, you have Mr. How you say it one more time for me? Akeem
Ike Ekwonu.
Ike Ekwonu. See, I ain't got the African dialect. You just
it's
said.
All right.
I gotta get. I can't. It's not even about rolling the R's. It took me 20 years in Texas to learn how to roll the R's. Okay, I gotta get my African dialect down from my boy. Okay. With that being said, Ish, let them know about one of your African greats men out here.
To be honest, this is I do not have a problem with you having Charles Cross here. I think it's a preference situation. I think at tackle, A lot of people, there's a lot of noise that's been going on with Evan Neal. A lot of people feel like Evan Neal is the clear number one, but I do think that there are some discussions within the NFL circle over who people feel has a better upside, and so maybe Evan Neal is going to come in right away and give you good impact, but overall, over the long haul, some of these other guys like Charles Cross, Ike Ekwonu, people are kind of feeling like maybe they got a better upside than Evan Neal. For me, my personal preference is I'm going to go with Ike Ekwonu here. I think you need a guy that's going to come in, be able to move, but be a mauler for you. And the upside for me is big. So I'm going with him, but I'm not mad at anybody that has Charles Cross or Evan Neal here. I think they need a tackle. The last tackle they got, Titus Howard, who they were kind of forced into getting because it's the guy they wanted. Philadelphia jumped in front of them and picked him. And he's not even a tackle anymore. He plays guard. He's been playing guard for them. So I do think they need a tackle. I also think Larry Tunsil's either going to get cut at the end of the year or he's going to be traded away. One or the other. They're going to have to do something because they're not going to pay that man his money. Let's just be honest. So go ahead and get the future left tackle for maybe Davis Mills or whoever is going to end up being the quarterback for the Houston Texans. Yeah, I get him. So Ike Ekwonu for me.
I love it. I know Fracture Walnut's tuning in, so let us know, Fracture. Before we move on to the text, before we move on to the fourth pick, let us know who you would like to get as a Texan fan, because the third pick I think is a really good position to be in, because after you figure out who the first two teams are going to get, it gives you an opportunity to figure out what direction you want to go on, most likely the defensive side of the ball. I would think if it's not the line, again, if it's the line and then the defense, but other than that, it's also all the other holes the Texans have to fill too. So, if one thing I do know when it comes to rebuilding, my apologies, rebuilding a team, you usually start in the interior, either on the offensive line or defensive line. So we'll see what happens with the Texans and what they do on that one. All right, the New York Jets, everybody's favorite underachieving ass franchise. I go with my pick first. I took the safe pick. Add another weapon to Mr. Zach Wilson, so we don't give him an opportunity to say, I didn't have nobody to throw the ball to. You add Drake London with Corey Davis there. That's a decent 1-2 tandem. Drake London, because of his size as well too, I feel like he will work great in New York. I want to see how he transitions, though, playing in California and then also playing in New York. We also, of course, did see a pretty damn good wide receiver back in the day in '95 get drafted to the Jets coming out of USC as well. So who knows? Maybe history can strike twice for the New York Jets. We just, of course, have to wait and see. But I like Drake London with the pick-ish.
Okay, just a disclaimer real quick. One of the things that we talked about before the show that I think is really important to note about this year's draft and most drafts in general, I think that the draft tends to be a domino effect. It tends to be hey, so-and-so ends up picking this guy. We need to go get another guy that matches that in that position, or, a run starts because teams are like, oh, crap, we got to get one of these guys before the position runs out. For me, I love the pick. I love Drake London. I think that everything you said, I agree with 100%. But corner, there's a clear top three at corner. And there are a lot of teams coming up that need help at corner. So if you're the New York Jets, you got 2 picks in the top 10. My first pick has to be corner. Because of all the teams that need corner following me, I don't know that I'm going to get one of those 3 guys if I wait until 10. So I got to get them now. Pick your corner who you want, Stingley, McDuffie, or Sauce. But my guy that I love, I watched all the tape, I think he's going to be great, is Mr. Sauce Gardner. Sauce has got to go number 4. He's the first corner off the board for me. And that's just how I feel about New York getting their guy.
In the words of Future, got too much sauce. Ain't nothing wrong with the sauce. In the words of Gucci, sometimes you be in the sauce and you be lost in the sauce. But at the end of the day, you got that sauce. All right, with that being said, let me get to the comment section right quick from Fracture Walnut. He says, I like both y'all's picks, but they got to get a cornerback with the second pick. You just gotta stay tuned. We'll get to
Stay
that very
tuned. Yes.
shortly.
Wait and see. Wait and see. Wait and see.
Fracture Wano said, like any tackle here for the Jets, to be honest, got to protect Wilson. You do, but as we saw last season with the Cincinnati Bengals, sometimes adding a wide receiver can definitely help a little bit more than an offensive lineman. That's an anomaly for what the Bengals were able to do. I'm not saying Zach Wilson's going to do the same thing, but it's very interesting. All right, let's go ahead and move on with the number 5th pick in the draft. The other New York team that sucks, the New York Giants. Ish, I'll go ahead and throw it to you first.
Yeah, so this is part of the run starting on tackle. We had the Texans take Ike Ekwonu at number 3, or I did. I feel like a tackle could go number 4, but I think corner, like I already explained that. So for me, the Giants got to protect one hand Danny Dimes, their number 1 asset, and go ahead and get you a tackle. And Evan Neal is my guy here. You can rotate him with any of the other 2 top 3 tackles, Cross or Icky. But yeah, Evan Neal for me here. Sure up Danny Dimes.
And of course, I have Mr. I can't pronounce his name one more time.
Ike Ekwonu.
Ike Ekwonu. He's sooner or later he's gonna make enough plays out here that I'm gonna be able to say his name, just like Giannis Akunta. God damn it, I had it at first. The Greek freak, you know who I'm talking about. I can't get the names, but I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it.
Nah, you good.
I'm gonna get it. But anyways, I'm going with this pick because, of course, like we talked about, not with Danny. I'm sorry, we talked with Zach Wilson, also with Danny Dimes, needs some protection. And let's be honest, this is Danny Dimes' last season as a Giant. It's either make it or break it. They've added some pieces with the Giants to where there really are no excuses this year for Danny Dimes and the coaching staff. So it's either do what you need to do or they will find somebody else to do it for them. Alrighty, then let's go ahead and move on to the Carolina Panthers. I'll go first on this one. I have Mr. Evan Neal, tackle out of Alabama. Well, like I said earlier about a team, if you're in rebuild mode, you want to start from the inside out. Well, Carolina, I don't even think they're in rebuild mode. I just think they're just in the middle of the pack but they're like a chicken with their head cut off, and they really don't know what direction they want to go in. So I feel like the best and safe bet is to work that line. Get a lineman in there. It's a safe pick. You can't mess it up unless he's just injury prone or he's just not that good. But for the Panthers, I mean, you have Cam Newton making more noise off the field, even though I know he's not going to be on the roster this year. He's making more noise off the field when it comes to YouTube than the Panthers are as an organization on what they're trying to do moving forward. Ish, let me hear your take on Mr. Charles Cross.
Yeah, this is one of those picks where it's definitely the domino effect, and it's definitely one of those situations where they end up getting the guy because they got to get a tackle. I feel like they need to shore up that line. They need to protect Sam Darnold or potentially their future quarterback if they end up getting another quarterback somewhere down the line. But for me, it makes sense tackle here, right? The problem I have with Charles Cross going here is that Charles Cross has the most pass blocking snaps of all the tackles in the draft this year. He played at Mississippi State. If you know anything about Mississippi State, they didn't run the ball a lot. So there's not a lot of tape with him run blocking. And unfortunately, Carolina's a team that runs the ball a lot. They do a lot of swing passes, short passes here and there, but they need to run the ball. So they end up with Charles Cross. I think they would prefer one of the other 2 guys I had go earlier. But for me, since they got picked up, they got to stick with Charles Cross. But, hey, tackle is what they need. They're going to definitely do well if they get a tackle here.
Well, let's hope so for the Panthers because, again, I don't know what direction they want to go. But
Sam Darnold's not horrible, but they're going to be stuck with him for a little bit.
It's not about him being horrible. It's just the rest of the team. I mean, let's be real. We believe in McCaffrey as a talent, but can he stay on the field?
Well, they got Hubbard. I think Hubbard proved last year that he can do a really good job as that other back. And then don't forget they got Foreman.
But that that gets to my next point is if he continues to not stay on the field, is he going to be included in the trade package sooner or later?
Well, I think red alert. You heard it here first. Be on the lookout for Christian McCaffrey to potentially get traded during the draft. I would not be surprised if he's part of a package. If a team really wants him that bad, give up some draft capital in the first round, and let him move up. I think if Carolina really wants a quarterback, they feel like they need a quarterback. Why not, make a deal with the team in the first round to come back in the first round, which I'll get to that later on.
No problem.
Come back into the first round and get your guy. So Christian McCaffrey, there were talks that he might have been traded, that they were talking to teams about it. I wouldn't be surprised if on draft night that trade goes through.
Dominic Powell also says, "Watch out, don't sleep on us too hard." He also said, "I see the smirks." Look, we ain't smirking. I'm just happy today. It's just a good day. It's a Tuesday. We out here talking this. It's a good day. Dominic Powell also says, "I'll take an old lineman though, but no franchise QB. You go nowhere." This is very true. He also says, "Might just have to toss this year up and wait for Bryce Young."
Yeah, wait.
I'll get to that in a second. Let me finish this last comment. Fracture Wallace says, "I expect Willis to go here in my mock draft." And Dominique, to finish off, he says, "Ish, you're probably right though, because C-Mac really probably only have about 2 good years left." So, what I was gonna say about Bryce Young is this: how many times we got to do this with Alabama quarterbacks?
Here we go.
We can hear we go. We want to. We can hear we go. We want to.
You and the Alabama and Ohio State quarterbacks. Like
I was gonna say Ohio State.
All the Ohio State and Alabama quarterbacks. Go ahead, man. Go ahead. Because here you go. Anybody that watched the show already know what you want to say. Go ahead and throw the shade on all of them.
I had to make sure my lips are moist for this one. Moist. I know how many people love that word. My point is that when your best quarterback was Joe Namath and he won a Super Bowl in the 60s, that's a problem.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying. We can talk about the new age quarterbacks, Mr. Hurts, Mr. Tua, and of course Mr. Marcus Jones. We can talk about those three. That's no problem. But my problem is that what about Mr. Jesus Christ? I'm forgetting all the names right now. AJ McCarron and Jesus Christ, I can't remember the names right now. But
the thing is,
all the other quarterbacks that played at Alabama have been game managing quarterbacks. If anything, they've been the Patriots of the college football when it comes to give the ball to the running back, make sound throws, don't mess the game up.
That's a fair assessment.
My point is that, and Dominique Powell says, but Bryce Young is different. Okay, I'll be honest with you. Bryce Young ain't even better than damn Tua.
Wow.
I said it. Come on. Can I just say this one thing? I want to say one thing and go move on.
Say it and let's move on.
When y'all see Alabama play, y'all see nothing but 5 stars. It's a lot easier. It's easy to play quarterback when you're throwing the ball to 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. You hand the ball off to a 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. But when you get into the league and everybody are 5 stars because everybody's in the league, we get to see how good you really are. So we will revisit this another year from now when Mr. Bryce Young is up and ready to get drafted, and we'll see what happens from there. But at the moment, I'm not sold. I'm not at all. So Fracture Walnut says the same thing. Alabama and Ohio State quarterbacks only do good in college. You got to wait on Justin Fields, though. And we'll talk about that another time as well, too. All right, let's go ahead and move on with the 7th pick of the NFL draft, the New York Giants. See, that's the great thing about this draft. You have teams that have 2 picks in its first round, and the first one, of course, the New York Giants, which they got this pick from the Chicago Bears.
The first
I have
one
Mr. Kayvon Thibodeau, and looks like Ish has Mr. Kayvon Thibodeau as well, too. Our first same picks, and Ish, I'll let you take this one, and I'll go ahead and piggyback off you.
No, you already said it. When you're rebuilding the team, where do you start? You start from the inside out. For me, you get a tackle at number 5, and then you follow that up, and you get a good edge rusher at number 7. I think for the Giants, if this is the scenario that happens in the draft, they got to walk away and be excited. You got to be ecstatic that you get your pretty much franchise tackle at number 5, and then you follow that up with a great edge rusher where a lot of people thought earlier in the season that he was the number one guy. He was the number one guy. So, I mean, for him to fall to 7 for you,
that's a steal.
Wow. That is a steal. You got to be excited.
Oh
So,
yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. But man, it would be great if they get him.
Now, I will say this about Mr. Thibodeau. He started off the season for college at Oregon. He started off the season hurt. He wasn't able to play. I think to up to his expectations that he wanted to this last year at Oregon. But towards the end of the season, he played really well. He played really strong. He just didn't make, to me, I didn't think he made any of those, not even game changing plays, but just those moments where you can say, "Oh man, this guy's a top 5 pick. This guy is who I would take." I would take him, and hopefully he would be the next Joey Bosa, right? No, the next Bosa brothers, the next Miles Garrett. I unfortunately just didn't see that. I think he has a motor. I think he's somebody that's going to be good in the NFL. You want to know who a guy? You don't want to know who I would compare him to?
Hmm.
I honestly see him like Mario Williams. I look at him as a guy that the ceiling could be Hall of Fame. The worst he can do is 3 or 4 Pro Bowls, but he's going to make a Pro Bowl here and there. He's going to probably be on an All Pro team. But the real the when it comes to what he wants to do, it's on him on how great he's going to be. That's all I can say on that one.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Atlanta Falcons number 8 pick. Ish, I want you to take this one first because I do love this pick. So go ahead and take this one.
Yeah, for me, this is another one of those domino situations. Like I said, at number 4, there are a lot of teams that need corner help, early in the draft. And it's one of these situations where they could definitely go quarterback here. They could go lineman because they need help there as well. But for me, the top 3 corners, it's just a big gap there. So do we know if we're going to be able to get another great corner or good corner if we skip out at number 8? I don't think so. So you got to go with a guy that some people would say, if it weren't for the fact that he's only played 10 games in the past 2 seasons, people would say he's the number 1 overall prospect in the draft. People would think that he is by far the number 1 corner in the draft. The injury concerns are what makes him drop to number 8. But I think if you're the Atlanta Falcons, you can't pass on a guy that potentially is the best player in the draft when it comes to just overall his impact and what he can do for you. To pair him, with the existing corners that they have there, this would be a great pick for me. So Derek Stingley Jr., that's who I got going number 8.
He did tweet it out and said, "I'm the best player in the draft." So, hey, one thing we know about Twitter, though, is it's not a real place. Not a real place. So you gotta do it on the field.
Yeah.
But I respect it, though. I respect the confidence. I respect everything about it because at the end of the day, again, we know the higher you get in competition, the more you have to believe in yourself. Fuck what everybody else talking about in the outside noise. As long as you believe in you, that's all that matters. And for Mr. Stingley, I'm sorry, but that was Sauce. My apologies. I got him mixed up with Sauce Walker. My bad. My bad. With Derek Stingley, my bad. With Derek Stingley being able to run that 4.3 in pro day, I think that definitely helped out his case because a lot of people felt like maybe he wasn't going to be as good as he was, but for him to perform as well as he did in his pro day, I think that definitely does help. But we have to really see what happens with him when it comes to football movement, because we do know pro days and playing on the field are 2 different things. You can look good with your shirt off, running the 40, doing defensive drills. That's cute, but when it's time to play, we'll see what happens. Let me go ahead and get to my pick, Mr. Tyler Linderbaum.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure I said it right, Tyler Linderbaum. The reason why I'm picking him to go number 8 is because it's another safe pick for me as an organization. If you are the Falcons, you are rebuilding because obviously you have Marcus Mariota at the moment as your starting quarterback, and for Marcus to be on his 3rd team, most times you're not going to be a starter. So from what I'm seeing, it seems like they're in transition mode into the future. And why not add a solid centerpiece from Iowa, who we all know, any lineman come out of Iowa, they're gonna be some corn-fed boys. And for him to go to number 8 to help out the offensive line, I think that is what the Atlanta Falcons need. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 9, the Seattle Seahawks. Got this pick from the Denver Broncos. I'll take this one first, and with my pick, I took uh, Bernard Remen. Bernard Remen. Again, my apologies on butchering the names. I don't get paid the big bucks, so until I start getting paid, I'll make sure that I say them correctly. But again, another not safe pick, but it helps out with what Seattle's trying to do. They are as well another team that's kind of most likely in rebuild mode. I mean, again, you have Drew Lock most likely will be your QB1 going into the season, unless let's just say maybe Baker Mayfield gets traded there or something else happens wild in the offseason. But you need to make sure that Drew Lock is upright. I feel like getting a tackle from Central Michigan because of the weather that is there in Michigan. It's easy for him to transition to go to a team like Seattle where they have those type of conditions. I think it's a great fit for both parties.
For me, I got Trent McDuffie, the last of the top three corners. I think for me, you got the second to last passing defense in Seattle. Clearly, they had an issue stopping the pass in Seattle. Clearly, they have an issue as far as at the corner position. They got two really stud safeties, Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs, who they re-signed. So you got to think to yourself, how can you help those guys out? How can you help this defense out? Corner, again, it's very important. If you don't have a corner, I don't know later in the draft if you're going to find the kind of guy that these top three guys can be. He's a really good corner, a sticky corner. He stays on his man, great in man coverage. So I just think for me, Trent McDuffie is the guy here and wrap up that kind of, corner need for these top teams.
I'm not mad at it, honestly. Again, because of the domino effect, it's going to be interesting to see where these guys land. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens. All right, let's go ahead and move on to another team again. That has another pick in this first draft. The New York Jets are back up again. Got this pick from Seattle. I feel like, maybe you go defensive side, Nakobe Dean, be able to get a linebacker that can maybe be the leader for that defense moving forward. So I mean, if you watched him play in college, I mean, this is a guy that is, I call him controlled chaos. I mean, because when he's out on the field, I mean, he is wrecking havoc all over the field, but it's in a very controlled manner that you do not see a lot. And I just love watching him play. I think he can transition, and I'm not saying he's going to be the next Lawrence Taylor for the New York Giants, but he can definitely be a very solid piece, maybe like an Antonio Pierce, but maybe even a little bit better. And I think he could be a guy that can help that New York. I'm sorry, from New York Jets. My bad, not for the Giants, but yeah, New York Jets when it comes to being able to be that centerpiece moving forward for them. Ish.
Yeah, you already had this pick at number 4, and that's why I was laughing when you had it. And I was like,
I
yeah, I
see.
agree with
Yeah, I see why
everything
you're
you're saying.
smiling. Yeah.
Because Drake London, I think they needed help at wide receiver, help Zach Wilson out a little bit. Why not go get who a lot of people think is the number 1 receiver in the draft, big body. He kind of helps you with what you need there. So yeah, you pair Eli Mitchell, who you got last year in the draft, with Drake London. Now you got 2 good weapons for Zach Wilson on the outside, and maybe they pair together and make some noise. So yeah, Drake London for me.
And it's funny that you're smiling about me picking Drake London at 4 is because we don't. I mean, with the Jets having 2 picks in his top 10 draft, it allows them to, maybe if they miss out on Drake London, they can probably get him in that top 10, right? It's still number 10. Or if they want to get them at 4 and hope and wish that Nakobe Dean is still going to fall at 10, they can be able to get what they want. Or they might go tackle, it's so many possibilities for them. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens for the Jets and how they play it out. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to 11. I think this is a very interesting pick for the Washington Commanders. Ish, I want you to go on this one first, and I'll explain why I chose my pick.
You released Landon Collins, stalwart for that defense, have been there for a long time. Why not replace him with, obviously, by and large, the best safety in the draft in Kyle Hamilton? A lot of people have him projected to go number 2 at Detroit. And for him to drop all the way to 11, I feel like in this scenario, if this were to be the case, there's no way that Washington, having just given up Landon Collins, can pass on Kyle Hamilton. You got to go with Kyle Hamilton. The whole quarterback situation, I know quarterback is a highly, it's a highly valued position in the NFL. But for me, none of the quarterbacks in this year's draft are guys that are must gets or guys that you can't miss on. So for me, I'm just not at number 11 going to go for a quarterback. I'm going to shore up that defense, keep doing what we're doing, and let the defense continue to ride. You got Carson Wentz. Go ahead and ride with Carson Wentz for a year.
Honestly, I'm not mad at your pick. Kyle Hamilton is a guy that's very sought after. Of course, you'll see where I have him in a couple more picks. It's just, for me, it just be interesting to see what happens with Kyle Hamilton. Like you said, he's a guy that a lot of people may feel like he's number 2 or 3 best player in the draft, and he could be gone in the top 10. He might not even make it out of the top 10. So we'll see what happens with that. I'm going with Kenny Pickett. And I'll let y'all know straight up, it's not even because I feel like he's the best quarterback in the draft, or second best. I'm sorry, not even the second best quarterback in the draft. I have Malik Willis going first. I just feel like when the Washington Commanders look at him, I don't know if you agree with this or not, Ish, but I think they probably look at him exactly like they saw Kirk Cousins.
Ugh. I knew you were going to say that.
I mean, I know you love you some Kirk, right? But the reason why I think they would go with him is because I think he is a guy that's, he's not great, he's better than good, and at the end of the day, it's on you, Kenny. It's on you to let everybody know in the league how good you really are, because I think there are still a lot of question marks around him, and I honestly just don't know what's going to happen with Kenny Pickett. I think he can be as good as a Joe Theismann and win a Super Bowl for the Washington Commanders. But I also look at him like maybe he could be like Taylor Heinicke and be a flash in the pan and just have a couple good moments, but just not be that guy. But I see Washington Commanders picking him because that's what the Washington Commanders going to do. They're gonna make us look. One thing I know about Washington Commanders, they're not gonna make the right choice. Okay, I know we get on the Texans and Lions all the time, but Washington Commanders are definitely up there too when it comes to organizations that don't know what the hell they're doing in this league. So we'll see what happens. I think Kenny Pickett it's a safe pick. I'm not happy with it, honestly, but it's a safe pick. All right, number 12, the Minnesota Vikings. I'll take this one first, sir. Mr. Trayvon Walker. Edge on the edge for the Minnesota Vikings. I like this pick because, again, it helps on that defensive line side. Let's be real, they have enough offensive weapons at the moment. I'm pretty sure they'll fill in the running back role, and also a couple of third and fourth receivers to help out on that side. But for the most part, they got to get that defense back to what it was just 3 or 4 years ago with Mike Zimmer there leading the charge. At one point in time, I mean, that defense to me, I felt like was probably one of the most underrated defenses in the league. And last year, I mean, they just got ran over in almost every game. It was horrible. Ish.
Yeah, I got George Karlaftis. Like, I agree with what you said. I think they need to pair somebody with Anthony Barr on the other side. So definitely edge rusher for me. Walker's already picked at number 1, so I got the next best tackle, the next best edge rusher that's available. So Karlaftis for me.
And one thing I will say, I'm happy that you brought that up about being able to pair edge rushers. If you do see this if you have noticed in the league, most of the teams that are better than the most have 2 good edge rushers. Not 1, but they usually have 2. And in the NFL now, it seems like you have to have not just 2 edge rushers, but you got to have a really good starting quarterback, but also a decent backup quarterback just in case. You have to have more than just 2 wide receivers. You have to have, more than just a shutdown corner. This league is getting more and more competitive, and if you do not have depth, you will get exposed. That's just my opinion. All right, let's go ahead and get to the comment section right quick. Dominique Powell says the Commanders should go ahead and grab Pickett. This Carson Wentz's last shot, hun? Oh, yes, it definitely is Carson Wentz's last shot, I would think, unless the Jaguars give him a chance. I don't know. I mean, if they get tired of sunshine, I mean, I don't I would feel like it's his last shot, right? Ish. I mean, I don't see another team wanting to make him a starting quarterback if he fails at Washington.
Nah, if he fails at Washington, then he's gonna be a backup somewhere else. He'll get the Sam Bradford treatment.
I agree. I agree. All right, let's go ahead and move on to everybody's favorite, the Houston Texans. They get this 13th pick from the Cleveland Browns. Ish, I want you to take this one, please.
Yeah, for me, I like the Kyle Hamilton pick that you got here because I do think safety, they need to go out and get themselves another safety. Unfortunately for them, he got selected at number 11 for me. And
Mm-hmm.
here I have to go with wide receiver. I think that you can't pass up an explosive wide receiver, probably the most explosive wide receiver in the draft this year, and Garrett Wilson. So I'm going to bring in a playmaker to help out Davis Mills, who I guess is a starting quarterback this year. Why not help him out? You got Brandon Cooks already. You picked up big body Nico Collins from last year from Michigan. So yeah, go ahead and get Garrett Wilson, make it a trifecta.
You say that so happy and so confidently when it comes to what the Texans do with their draft picks. I understand. I will say the main reason why I put Kyle Hamilton there is, of course, because of the loss of Eric Reed.
Yep.
And I'll let every Texan fan know this right now. I'll be honest with you. Call me crazy, but I think Kyle Hamilton is an upgrade from Justin Reed.
Mm.
I'm just That's just my 2 cents. I think he's an upgrade, not his rookie year, but over time he will be an upgrade at safety position. I think he will be the best Notre Dame player to play for the Texans, and I'm talking about Mr. Will Fuller. Yes, you Mr. I can't stay on the field looking ass, but I think Kyle Hamilton will be the best player that y'all have ever had from Notre Dame with the Texans. Um, and again, if the Texans are smart, go ahead and take Mr. Kyle Hamilton at that pick. If Garrett Wilson is there, I think it's a great wide receiver to pair with Mr. Davis Mills to be able to help out that offensive side of the ball. So the Texans again have another team that has 2 picks in the first round. I mean, it's on them on what they want to do with the Houston Texans, what they want to do, what direction they're going to. I don't know what the Texans want to do. So I will say this though, the Texans do a very decent job at drafting. It's just they go elsewhere after they draft them. That's the biggest problem. So we'll see what happens. Fractured Wellness says, I love the pick X. I appreciate that. We'll have to see if the boys in downtown Houston will, or I should say, I'm off 610 loop, if they want to make that same decision. All right, 14 pick the Baltimore Ravens. I'll go first, and then I'll let you go on this one, Ish. The reason why I was smiling with you when it comes to Sauce Gardner going up a little bit higher is because I think he drops not because he's bad. I think he drops because of the team needs that other teams ahead of the Baltimore Ravens might need. And again, I don't think Sauce is a bad corner at all. He might be the best or second best, depending on how you look at it. I just think the Baltimore Ravens and Sauce Gardner, I think this is just a perfect match. This is just a perfect match made in heaven when it comes to, we know the Baltimore Ravens when it comes to their identity, right? And we know who Sauce Gardner is when it comes to his mindset. This is just a great pairing. I liked it. I hope it happens, honestly, for the Baltimore Ravens because I would like to see the best of Sauce Gardner and be very interested to see what happens, Ish.
For me, I got Devin Lloyd. They need defensive line help, or they did need it until they re-signed Calais Campbell. I think with them re-signing Calais Campbell, that need is taken care of for the time being. So why not go get a linebacker that can come in and make a difference? And for me, Devin Lloyd is a guy that can make a play all over the field, the sideline to sideline. He's just that kind of guy. So yeah, Devin Lloyd for me, get a good impact player on defense.
Yes, sir. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the number 15th pick in the draft. The Philadelphia Eagles get this pick from the Miami Dolphins. Ish, I'll let you go first on this one, and I'll piggyback.
Yeah, Fletcher Cox was re-signed for 1 year. He's been there for a long time. He's a difference maker. Why not go ahead and get his replacement ready to go? Bring in Devontae Wyatt from Georgia, and you already got your guy for Fletcher Cox next year. I don't think they'll re-sign him after this year. So yeah, bring in his replacement with Devontae Wyatt, and who knows, maybe Devontae Wyatt ends up taking that position midway through the season or something, and there you go. You're good.
I got Devin Lloyd out of Utah. Again, when it comes to the Eagles, we talked about this in the pre-show. If the Eagles want to hit on a draft pick in the first round, please do not go wide receiver.
Maybe stop going wide receiver.
Please stop going wide receiver.
Goodness.
It could be Randy Moss, T.O., Jerry Rice, Andre Johnson in this draft, and they will draft all four of them, and they'll find a way to mess up their careers. Okay, Philadelphia Eagles, please just stay away from all the wide receivers and go with a good pick when it comes to Devin Lloyd, very athletic linebacker out of Utah, and I feel like he can come in and bring that Philadelphia tough love into the city. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the number 16th pick in the draft. Before we do that and get to the comments section, Dominique Powell also says Sauce fits perfect for the Ravens. Again, just culture. That's just how I felt on that one. All right, number 16 pick in the draft. New Orleans Saints gets this pick from the Colts, who got it from the Eagles. And both of us are. Looks like we're on the same page with position group, just different players for the position. I went with wide receiver from Ohio State, Mr. Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson, again, depending on how you look at him at Ohio State, some people look at him as the best receiver for that team. Some people look at him as the second best, or maybe even the third best. Again, just depending on how that team from Ohio State, how they are. All three of them are different. I think all three of them are very electrifying in their own way. Garrett Wilson, I think, is a very good pick addition to add on to what the Saints have. You have Jameis coming back. You should have a healthy Mike Thomas. You should. You add Garrett Wilson, I think that helps out the offense tremendously. And then, unfortunately, you have the Swiss Army knife playing tight end. I'm not even going to talk about that right now until the season starts because I'm still rolling my eyes on that one. So, Ish, let me hear what you have to say about Jameson Williams going to the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, for me, Garrett Wilson gets selected at number 13. So I think they need a wide receiver. Why not go ahead and get Jameson Williams? Jameson Williams, we know what he did at Alabama. We know the how good the reputation is for Alabama wide receivers. You talk about Alabama quarterbacks and Ohio State quarterbacks and how poor they've done in the league. Well, everybody knows how great Alabama wide receivers have been in the league. So Jameson Williams. Hey, Jameson Williams, go ahead, pull him in there and help out Michael Thomas a little bit. I think it's a no-brainer. They got to get a wide receiver and one of these positions. Even if it's not here at 16, at 19, they definitely got to do it because they need somebody else to help Michael Thomas.
No, I definitely agree on that. I mean, again, we got to see from Michael Thomas if he can run any other routes besides a slant route.
Okay.
I mean, you can all we want
to. Here you go.
I mean, there we go. All we want to. Everybody that's watching the show know it good and damn well. 3 yards and a slant from Mr. MT.
Yeah.
Get 185 catches off a slant. My goodness. We'll talk about that another day, though. All right, the 17th pick, the Los Angeles Chargers. I went back to back on this one, like Drake, when it comes to wide receiver group, and another Ohio State wide receiver, Mr. Olave, who I wish he could drop to the Titans, but. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to happen. I want to pair him up with Mr. Keenan Allen and Mr. Mike Williams. If you have those three guys, look, man, I'm not saying the Chargers are going to win the division, but I'm just saying that the Chargers, I would think, are going to be a lot better this upcoming season on both sides of the ball than they were last season. And if they are able to get them a diamond in the rough. I know he's not really a diamond in the rough. I'm just saying because of all the things that you have to face to try to get this guy or any top-notch wide receiver with that pick in number 17. It's just such a type of position to be in. I think that will be such a home run for the Chargers. I mean, Justin Herbert is going to be the first one to reach out to Olave if they're able to get him.
Yeah, for me, I don't think that wide receiver is that much of a need. I think that you definitely got to go tackle here. Bernard Raymond, I think that he's the guy for me. You got to protect. You got your guy as far as your quarterback. Now you got to protect him. And what better way than to get a cornerstone tackle So I'm going Raymond here. I think they need that more than they need wide receiver. Like you already mentioned, they got two great guys already over there. So let's just protect our guy, keep him upright, and maybe that'll help us win the AFC West.
No, you're 1,000% correct. Let's also remember though, Keenan Allen is aging. Mike
Yep.
Williams is a little bit older. So
Hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't, it wouldn't surprise me at all if they don't go wide receiver, but I just feel like I don't know, man. It would make the rest of the division a little bit more terrified of the Chargers. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 18th pick. Philadelphia Eagles, who got this pick from New Orleans Saints. Ish, I'll let you go first because I think it's a very interesting pick from you. I like the pick, I really do. Can you explain to everyone else that's tuning in this pick, Mr. Andrew Booth Jr.?
Yeah, I felt like this one's a little bit of a reach for me. I think that he's a little bit lower in the draft for me. I would like to take him a little bit lower, but because of the run earlier in the draft with all the corners taken, I do think that they need a corner here in Philly, and he's the next best corner available. So Andrew Booth Jr., he's a really good corner. He's a solid corner. I think he's definitely worth the first round pick. I just think that there is that gap between the top three and him. And but yeah, you get a solid corner here, and it's going to help you out big time because we all know you got to play Dallas twice a year, and you've been struggling to stop the receivers there.
Yeah, I mean, that's you know how Dallas is. I'm not even gonna get into that. We'll talk about that another day. All right, 19th pick in the NFL draft. The New Orleans Saints are back up yet again, and they got this pick from the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'll go with my pick first. I have Mr.
Yeah.
Trevor Penning, tackle out of Northern Iowa. Again, if you're gonna get, this is just how I do things when it comes to draft. I'm not a general manager, but this is just how I feel about certain things. Well, if you're going to get players from smaller schools, I feel like it's safer to get linemen, offense or defense side of the ball, than it is to get a quarterback, a wide receiver, or whatever it is. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been guys like a wide receiver or a cornerback that's come from small schools that have been. We just saw the Triple Crown winner, right? Eastern Washington. We've seen this before. We've seen Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley State. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying if you're going to go first round pick and you're going to go small school, I would rather get an offensive lineman or defensive lineman. That's why I'm going with Trevor Penning, especially playing at Northern Iowa. Again, a state that has all of the seasons that he's acclimated to everything. Him playing in New Orleans will be easy breezy for the most part. And, of course, in that division is pretty much decent weather, or you're playing in domes. I just think it's a good pick for the New Orleans Saints. Ish.
Yeah, for me, I take Jordan Davis. You went and got the wide receiver at number 16, which you needed to do. Now, why not go ahead and get a difference maker on the interior defensive line with a guy like Jordan Davis? He's going to be able to come in, play, make an impact early on. You got to play Carolina twice a year. You got to play Tampa Bay twice a year. I think that this definitely makes a difference for you in the middle. It's kind of that guy like we've seen in the past. I'll even say like Vita Vea for Tampa Bay, right? Came in and he made a huge impact on, helping them up front. I think this is another guy that can come in, make a big impact for you, help you in that division. So I'm going Jordan Davis.
I do love the comparison. Again, a guy that unfortunately did have a little injury plagueness in the beginning, but when Vita Veda is healthy, he is a game wrecker, and that is an understatement. All right, let's go ahead and get on to the 20th pick, Pittsburgh Steelers. Looks like we did it again, Ish. Looks like we did it again. Same position, just different players. I know we talked about him already, Mr. Malik Willis. I want you to go back and talk about it a little bit more before I talk about my pick, Ish.
Yeah, I mean, the arm strength, there's been a lot of smoke around this and how much Pittsburgh loves Malik Willis and everything. Funny thing to note here, this is my first quarterback going off the board, all the way at number 20. I think that's just the quarterback class for me this year. Malik Willis, while I'm really high on him, I like him. I think that he's a great guy. He has a lot of upside. I just don't think that he's worth a higher pick because of the pressure, and I think he does need a little bit of time. I think if you get him here for Pittsburgh, they got Mitchell Trubisky, they've got Mason Rudolph. They can start them early in the season and then potentially transition to Malik Willis if they need to. So yeah, I'm excited about him. I can't wait to see him play in the league. But for me, it has to be here at 20 and no sooner.
I'm not mad at it, honestly, because like you said, I'm on the same page with you when it comes to this being a, let's be real, it's a weak quarterback class. So we could see the first quarterback go off the board at number 20. But just due to, I just feel like the way that the NFL is a show, I just don't see the quarterback. I don't see a quarterback not getting drafted within the first 15 picks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I got you though. I like the pick. I mean, again, it could be the first or second quarterback come off the board. I feel like Pittsburgh. It wouldn't surprise me at all if they do go quarterback. The reason why I'm going with Desmond Ridder, besides Malik Willis being off the board, I feel like Desmond Ridder he reminds me of Cordell Stewart, not as athletic, but a better passer. And I feel like with Desmond Ridder, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been missing a quarterback like him, as in being mobile, being able to extend the play, but besides tossing off 3 or 4 guys on you like Ben Roethlisberger used to do, actually being able to extend the play, make a sound throw down the field, and be able to have more of an athletic quarterback leading the charge. Now, usually for the Steelers, they don't do this. Again, Cordell Stewart was somebody that wasn't embraced the way that a lot of people wanted him to be embraced. When he was playing for the Steelers, but with Desmond Ridder, I think he has an opportunity to be able to come in, work hard, keep your head down, let Mitch Trubisky either go win the job or go lose the job. And it's on, like I said with a couple of these guys, it's on you guys. Like, we can project you and we can put you in certain teams, but if you don't show up, I mean, it's all for naught, right? I'll piggyback on what you were talking about with Malik Willis. Let's all remind everybody, Mike Tomlin was at his pro day and was cheesing very hard along with Malik Davis on what he saw at his pro day. So if Malik Davis goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers, it wouldn't surprise me at all. If Desmond Ridder drops out of the first round, it wouldn't surprise me at all. But I think because of what the Steelers want and who might be available, that's why I picked Desmond Ridder. All right, let's go ahead and go on to the number 21st pick in the draft, New England Patriots. Looks like we are a little different on this pick. I'm on the offensive side. You're on the defensive side. I'll go first with the Jameson Williams pick. Now, let's remind everybody as well, this is a guy that is coming off of an ACL injury. If he didn't have that ACL injury, he probably could go top 5. Probably could have went top 5, no later than the top 10 pick. So if the New England Patriots, think about this, Ish, the last and the only time that Bill Belichick drafted a wide receiver in the first round was just 3 years ago when he drafted N'Keal Harry.
And he hasn't done anything.
At all. That might go down as probably one of the worst draft picks that Bill Belichick is on his draft resume. But hey, guess what? It's okay if you're able to hit it again and be able to actually get the right production that you want from that first round draft pick, which Jameson Williams maybe could do if they do not rush him back to get on the field by week 1. If he's able to get properly, rehab properly and get back into who he is, I think that he can get eased in by week 3, week 4, and have a solid rookie season. Again, another Alabama wide receiver pairing up with an Alabama quarterback. That could definitely help as well when it comes to chemistry. But it's going to be very interesting to see where Jameson Williams fall. Could he stay in that top 15 range? Could he go to about the 15? Or could he just be out of the first round completely and be a steal for somebody in the second round, right? So I think Jameson Williams as a player to watch out for, it's going to be very interesting to see where he lands. Ish.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with wide receiver here. They definitely need wide receiver help. But for me, you said a lot about Nakobe Dean earlier, and I 100% agree with it. I mean, he was the leader on this Georgia defense this year. He's a great guy. he's to me the Patriot guy, right? Like he's the guy that is a Patriot guy. He's gonna come in there, he's gonna play hard, he's gonna lead your team, he's gonna make plays around the field, and that's why it just makes sense for me. And Nakobe Dean here just makes sense as like this is the ultimate Patriot pick here. I could definitely see wide receiver happening, but for me, why not go ahead and get an impact player? You just got Devontae Parker from the Miami Dolphins. I think that to me signifies that they're kind of trying to do this veteran thing at wide receiver. I don't know that they want to go the route of drafting another wide receiver after the debacle that happened with N'Keal Harry, at least not in the first round.
No, you're not wrong with that. I'm wrong on that at all. I think, yeah, with the N'Keal Harry thing, it might scare him away from getting a wide receiver in the first round. I 1,000% agree. But we also did just see Bill Belichick and the Patriots do what they did last season, which they never do, which is pay people, right?
Yep.
So maybe Bill Belichick towards the end of his coaching career is like, hey, we got to do whatever we possibly can to not just try to win a Super Bowl, but just be back competitive again. Because let's remind everybody, this AFC East is not the Patriots division anymore. It's the Buffalo Bills. And if you want to be technical too, Miami Dolphins might be behind the Buffalo Bills at the moment. So you are most likely the third team looking up to those other teams. So for the Bill Belichick and the crew, who he hasn't named who's going to be an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, everybody's specialists around there, it's going to be very interesting to see what the New England Patriots look like this upcoming season, because there are a lot of question marks. And I'm not even talking about just on the field with the players. I'm talking about with the coaching staff and what they got going on. But when it comes to the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick, if there's one guy that can do it and shut everybody up, it's Mr. Bill Belichick. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Dominique Powell also says, was Harry like that in college, guys? I didn't watch him. He also says Patriots get Jameson Williams big still if when he gets right. I agree. If he gets right, he could be a very big steal. Dominique Powell says, was Harry like that in college? I'll be honest with you. He was good, but I think, and I could be wrong, and Ish can back me up on this one, I think because of how he was coached under Herm Edwards, who used to be an NFL guy, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Bill Belichick talked to Herm Edwards and asked him plenty of questions when it comes to, hey, is this guy a hard worker? Is this guy this? Is this guy that? He probably checked all the boxes, and that's probably why New England Patriots took that risk on him to get him. But at the end of the day, one saying I would say all the time in football, hey, we're not looking for choir boys in football. Look, we need athletes, and sometimes we need badasses, all right? And it just seems like N'Keal Harris is just, he's a good I mean, he's just a nice guy, not in a bad way. It's just I don't think he put his head into the playbook to learn the plays. I think he wasn't able to stay healthy, and also I wouldn't be surprised if there's something behind the scenes that we don't know about too. Ish.
Well, I think the system's hard to pick up. Number one, number two.
We saw Ocho Cinco couldn't pick it up.
Number two, I think, stop that nonsense. I also think that he's the kind of guy that is an example of when the NFL falls in love with measurables and they fall in love with size and potential based off of those things, right? Mm-hmm. Like he had the size, he had the numbers as far as speed wise and everything, that he had what people would say was a really high ceiling. The problem is it just looks like as of right now, he wasn't able to reach that ceiling or even start moving close towards that ceiling. So it's kind of a combination of they fell in love with the character, they fell in love with what they heard maybe from Herm Edwards, and then they also fell in love with those size, the measurables, and the upside that they thought he had, and he hasn't reached that yet. There's still time. He's a young guy, and he does have the size. He has that to his advantage, right?
And also we've seen it too. Sometimes guys go to a different team, new system, and they completely look a lot different. Look better. Like where does this guy at with the other team? So I agree. He still has 5 to 8 more years left to play. That's if he wants to do that. But don't let his first stint with the Patriots discourage you on having a good NFL career. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 22nd pick. The Green Bay Packers. They got this pick from the Las Vegas Raiders. Ish, I'll let you go first with this one, and I'll piggyback off you.
Yeah, I like chaos. I like to create problems, and I think this is. I was laughing when I made this pick because I already know what's going to happen. It's going to create a lot of problems. People are going to be like, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers is going to retire," so on and so forth. But I think you can help Aaron Rodgers here by taking a tackle that probably should have gone a little bit earlier in the draft. In Trevor Penning here, he's available. You need that help on the line. Why not go ahead and get him? I know a lot of people want to see wide receiver. They're going to say Devontae Adams, so on and so forth. But why not have a little chaos? Why not have the Packers do what they like to do to Aaron Rodgers and just deny him a wide receiver?
What's funny about that whole thing is, I mean, if they do that, if the only thing is Aaron Rodgers gonna go out there and just go throw for 55 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and just be like, "Hey, this is what I did again." Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's hilarious to me. I mean, it seems like every time they try to spite him, he just does nothing but perform even better.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. All right, 23rd pick, the Arizona Cardinals. Um, oh wait, my bad. My apologies. Didn't even say my pick. My apologies. All right, Abraham Lucas. I have going to the Green Bay Packers again. Another tackle that can help on that offensive line. Again, we pretty much agreed with the position, just different players. He's a guy come out of Washington State, so again, weather I feel like shouldn't be too big of a factor to adjust to as an offensive lineman. And let's be real too, when it comes to offensive linemen, them boys are just they don't care about weather anyway. It could be 105, it could be 5 degrees. Them boys they're gonna go out there shirtless with no shoes on, just for fun. So with the Green Bay Packers, as we both are agreeing on, it seems like they need to solidify the offensive line just a little bit more. All right, let's go ahead now move on to the 23rd pick, the Arizona Cardinals. I have Mr. Keon Green. Again, Ish and I are in agreement with the offensive line help as well with this team. You got to make sure you protect the bad little toddler. We call him Mr. Kyler Murray. And I think going Keon Green, guard out of Texas A&M, is uh, a good player to go from college to pro because it allows Kyler Murray to also joke around with the A&M days that both of them used to be a part of. Of course, Kyler wasn't there when Keon was there, but my point is that familiarity is a very underrated thing to have when it comes to building team chemistry. So for Keon to go over to the Cardinals, I think that's a very good help for them to have.
Yeah, for me, they need line help, interior line help. But great thing for them, they get the best player available when it comes to that situation. As far as Tyler Linderbaum, because Linderbaum probably should have gone higher. I think you do have him going higher in the
I do,
draft.
I do.
So the fact that he falls to them here, it just kind of works out for them in my draft because this is the kind of help they need, and they end up getting a guy that should have gone a lot higher anyway. So yeah, Tyler Linderbaum here for me. It makes sense. They need that interior line help. So he's the best player available from that situation.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 24th pick. Of course, everybody's favorite, the Mercs team, the Dallas Cowboys. Ish, I want you to go first on this one because I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if you forgot or not. I'm pretty sure you didn't, but
No, I didn't.
okay. I know you didn't. I want to hear what you have to say on this one because if you do remember, people that are tuning in,
Torn Achilles.
unfortunately during pro day, Mr. David, say it one more time.
David Ojabo.
Obujabu, he tore his Achilles during his pro day timetable. He should be ready for the regular season, but I feel like anybody that's coming off of torn Achilles, torn ACL, torn whatever, it seems like it's you're very cautious on taking that person. So, Ish, please tell me what you have to say on this one.
Yeah, I knew eyebrows would raise when they saw that this pick came in at 24. There's a lot of questions around how high will he go, how far will he drop, what are the concerns here. For me, I just think that at some point somebody's got to take him, right? And he's got a lot of value. If he weren't hurt, he would go a lot higher than this at 24. So to me, the fact that he's even there at 24, even with the torn Achilles, You know he's going to be out for a while. I think that why not Dallas just go ahead select them. Jerry Jones likes to make noise anyway. It'd be a great selection here. I think it's kind of a steal. But I mean, we saw Cam Akers come back from a torn Achilles, right? And he
We
came
did
back and he
during the
hit the
season.
ground
It's
running.
crazy. Yeah.
So for me, it's kind of a situation where we've seen it can work. We've seen that people can come back healthy. They can play at a high level. So why not get the value here and go ahead and select him? So I got Dallas taking that chance on him and, going with the guy that if he comes back healthy, everybody's going to be looking at this pick and be like, man, that was a steal.
Yeah, I'm not mad at everything that you said. I'm just one thing I will say about modern medicine nowadays, as everybody can see again, if you're an athlete, ish, me and you we talk about this all the time. We were in high school from 2005 to 2009. When you tore your ACL, that was
That's
almost kind
it.
of it. That was kind of it for your career. And for it to be able to see not just people who come back from ACLs within 6 to 8 months, but to see people come back from Achilles injuries in the same season ish, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I'm seriously am because this, just like I said, just 15 years ago, this was not possible. So, I, because of modern medicine, in the words of Kevin Garnett, anything is possible. So, with that being said, Cowboys, if you want to get a steal, why not get Mr. David Ajubu? All right. I have Mr. Dylan Parham from Memphis guard. Again, they got to assemble that offensive line. Just what 4 years ago ish was probably the best offensive line in the NFL at one point in time, and then you have injuries or even a retirement, and the Dallas Cowboys line has not been the same. I feel like you put a guard in there to help shore it up. It can help fix some holes, but they still have some more holes in that line to fix up. Before that safe bet in the first round, I think the Dallas Cowboys go offensive line. All right, let's go ahead and go to the 25th pick, the Buffalo Bills. I have Mr. Traylon Burks, wide receiver out of Arkansas. Again, not a name, not a flashy name, not a guy that you probably would say, "Oh yeah, that's who I want to get." But I think he is somebody that can definitely help pair up with Mr. Stephon Diggs to where he's not double covered, and he can definitely be I would honestly say a sleeper offensive player of the year because of the quarterback that you have throwing him the ball. If I think Traylon Burks can be able to get 65 to maybe 80 catches this upcoming season because of the offense that they run, the quarterback that they have, and all the attention going to Diggs. So for the Buffalo Bills, if they're able to pick Mr. Burks, and pair him with Diggs, it can be some mismatch nightmares for upcoming opponents.
For me, I got Kyer Elam, corner for Florida. I think that for the Buffalo Bills, we know what has happened this offseason as far as wide receivers and moving to the AFC and how stacked the AFC seems to be. Not to mention in your very own division, Tyreek Hill's coming in there. I do
Yeah,
think they need help in the secondary. They need help at the corner position. Why not go ahead and get a guy here that he's got the size, he's got, he's got all the measurables that you want. He plays well in his own defense. He's got a lot of experience. Um, the question mark really for him is tackling. I think the ball skills and the coverage isn't a problem. So he's gonna help this defense out a lot, especially when it comes to playing Tyreek Hill twice a year, playing Devontae Adams potentially in the playoffs. You got to play against Cleveland potentially. There are a lot of these wide receivers you're going to have to face in the AFC. I think corner help here really helps you kind of solidify your position as a contender amongst those teams that will be vying for the AFC Championship.
everything you're saying is you are correct. I definitely didn't even think about honestly all the AFC wide receivers that the Buffalo Bills are going to have to be playing against, and that's something that you do have to account for if you're on the defensive side of the ball. Buffalo, you got to get some better, even more players on that defensive side of the ball to be able to handle all the offense that you're going to have to be going up against. So I like the pick, Ish. I really do. Buffalo, I think you'll be able to find somebody in that at that 25th pick because after everybody gets picked, you'll be able to say, all right, well, we still have at least one or two guys that we feel solid with, and I think Buffalo, because of the way that they draft, will be able to draft a decent player at 25. All right, the funny pick for me, I think honestly, is this pick, the 26th pick, the Tennessee Titans. One thing I know about my team is that Tennessee Titans, that they will go with the safe pick and go with an offensive lineman. So that's why I went with Zion Johnson. No relation to Zion Williamson. But Ish, I want to hear why you went Zion Johnson.
Yeah, I think that they're going to go safe. I think that they're not. There's no need for them to go out there and try to make like a crazy pick. I think that they got a guy, Robert Woods, to come in and help out at the wide receiver position. So there's no need to go out there and try to get a guy. Although for me, Olave is still available, and if Olave is available here, it's gonna be hard to kind of pass up on that.
No, I
So
agree.
that'll be a
That's who I
situation
want.
that's kind of like
I'll be
making
honest
it
with
great.
that's what if I'm able as a Tennessee Titans fan, if we're able to get Chris Olave, you have to get him.
Yep.
That's just how I feel.
I mean, it's hard. It was hard for
But
me.
I don't think that he
get him.
drops to 26 though.
Well, it's hard for me to not get him here, but I think that knowing the Titans and how they've drafted in years past, they always tend to go with that safe option. And
Yeah, tell me about it, Ish.
interior line help.
Tell me
Why
about
not? You got the king back there. Why not help the king continue to be the king of running the ball?
You are correct. All right, let's get to the comment section right quick. Dominic says, X, you don't want another QB? Really, Dominic? We're going to do this right now? Really? With this weak ass quarterback class? Not in this class. I'll wait another year or two. I already chalked it up this season. Look, Titans ain't doing nothing this year, okay? I'll tell you that right now. Titans ain't doing nothing. We might as well just get ready for next season, okay? No quarterback, no postseason action. That's just how I see it. Yes, thank you, Dominique, for laughing. Thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with 27th pick. I'll go first with my Ed Ingram pick. Again, another safe pick. Now, there are some holes on both sides of the ball for Tampa that they are still going to have to address. We don't know if Gronk will be back. They still do have a couple of tight ends to replace Gronk. Wide receivers, they're pretty much straight on now. Running back, I think they will add another running back. But for the offensive line, because of course they did I can't remember his name. My apologies. To go to the Bengals. If you don't mind helping me out with that one, Ish. Karis.
Yeah.
We let Karis go to the Bengals. You're gonna have to free up. You're gonna have to replace that position. I feel like Ed Ingram is a good pickup for them. Guard out of LSU. Again, another SEC lineman being able to plug and play onto that team. I think it's an easy pick for the Bucks, Ish.
For me, I got Travis Jones. I just think he's a little underrated. They need a little bit of help with Vita Vea. He kind of has some health issues in and out. You need another difference maker in there. I think you pair these two guys together, and it definitely takes this defensive line to a whole nother level. So for me, it's Travis Jones come in and be an impact player.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 28, the Green Bay Packers. Again, we do it again. Same position, different players. And Ish, go ahead and say what you got.
Yeah, so, at 22, we both had them taking an offensive lineman. I know Green Bay fans were probably booing over there like, oh, no, we want a wide receiver. Well, here you go, 28, I got you, that guy. For me, Olave drops down, so you get Olave at 28. I definitely could see Jahan Dotson if Olave is off the board. I think either way, you got to get a wide receiver in the first round. If you don't, definitely there will be some boycotts and people with pitchforks and torches outside that facility. So, yeah, they got to get a wide receiver here or the pick before. So, yeah, I'm not mad at yours.
One thing I know about Green Bay Packer fans, they not boycotting nothing. They going to watch their Packers play. I went with Jahan Dotson because I think he can be a very, very sneaky good ass wide receiver. I think he can be somebody that's nobody's even looking for him, and I think he's going to be somebody that's going to shock a lot of people. I was watching this tape a couple of days ago, and I was trying to figure out why in the hell he went to Penn State. To be honest with you, but if the Packers are able to get Jahan Dotson, he would not replace Devontae Adams in 1 year. but he would be a very damn good piece to be able to have to be able to make Aaron Rodgers feel a little bit more at ease at the quarterback position. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the 29th pick. This is the Kansas City Chiefs pick. They got this from San Francisco, who got that from the Miami Dolphins. Ish, this is your team. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I got Jermaine Johnson, who a lot of people thought could be a top 10 pick. I think he's a difference maker from the end spot. I think that the Chiefs need a lot of defensive help. I know a lot of drafts have them taking wide receiver. A lot of drafts have wide receiver. A lot of people are saying wide receiver. I think you got Juju Smith-Schuster. You got MVS. Like, I just don't see that like desperate need for a wide receiver here. And with Chris Olave off the board, Jameson Williams off the board, Garrett Wilson off the board, I just don't see that value here. Jahan Dotson is in play, but for me, when you got a guy that drops down, Jermaine Johnson, who potentially could have been a top 10 pick off the edge, a great edge rusher makes a big difference for you. I think you got to get this guy here, help you out in the division, help you out against some of these great quarterbacks you're going to face, potentially challenging for the AFC Championship.
Honestly, I do love everything that you said because you are correct. With the additions of Juju and MVS, I honestly didn't even realize that. I'm sorry, it didn't register in my head that, you know what, maybe they are pretty okay at wide receiver to where they don't have to draft wide receiver in the first round. But with that being said, one thing about the Chiefs, they do love their wide receivers, and a reason why I'm going with Jalen Tolbert is because I think he's a different type of wide receiver. When it comes to, he's a guy that played at South Alabama, was a school that's not really, even known really in Alabama because all they really care for is Alabama. But I look at him and very underrated wide receiver. He's a dog at that position. And I think, if anything, if he goes to Kansas City, he helps bring a toughness to that wide receiver group that can maybe spread amongst the rest of the wide receivers. And I'm talking about you, Juju. Okay? Talking about you. All right, go ahead and move on to the 30th pick, who, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs get back-to-back picks, which are, very unheard of in the first round. Ish, go ahead and start it off again.
Yeah, for me, this pick is one that I'm excited about. I would love if this guy is actually able to go to Kansas City. Jalen Petrie from Baylor. He played the star position. So some places have him marked as a safety. Some places have him marked as a corner because the position he played at Baylor, it was kind of like a safety linebacker hybrid slot corner position. And for me, it makes sense because one of the guys you just got rid of was the Honey Badger, who played pretty much that role for you. I know you got Justin Reed, but you bring in a guy that kind of slots into this role that Tyrann Mathieu
and it allows Justin Reed to play his natural position as safety.
It allows Jalen
Petrie to play his natural position. Hey, I like the pick, Ish. I like the pick.
So for me, it just
Kansas City, if you're listening, put my boy on the staff, man.
Hey, it makes perfect sense here at number 30. Just go ahead and get Jalen Petrie. Let him slot into that position that you just lost in Tyrann Mathieu. And hopefully down the line, he's able to have the same leadership impact that Tyrann Mathieu had. But just having him slide into a position in a role that Tyrann Mathieu did play, it works perfectly for everyone on that defense.
I love the pick, Ish. Honestly, I do love it. Again, you lose one, you replace with another, and Jalen Petrie, we're not saying he's going to be the next Honey Badger, but
no.
But it definitely does help playing a position in college that you can play in the NFL and not have to change what you're already doing. And it'll be interesting to see if he does get picked up. If he does, hey, Ish, high five yourself. I'll come over to your house and high five you as well because damn, that's a hell of a pick right there. I got Trent McDuffie, a cornerback, no star position, just cornerback. For that position for the Chiefs to just again reassure that secondary again. Not even just the secondary. I think the whole defense sooner or later is going to have to get a revamp. I could be wrongish, but I just feel like once you get past the defensive line, and now with Honey Badger gone, the linebackers I feel like a little bit of a liability. That secondary really don't know too much what's going to happen going into next season. With the offense, nobody's worried about the Kansas City Chiefs offense, but it's the defense. You have to make sure that they are going to be as consistent as the Chiefs. Surprisingly, but ironically, the Chiefs last season, between I want to say week 5 to week 12, they were probably one of the best defenses in the league. They just towards the end of the season, they just weren't able to sustain that type of level of play to finish off the season.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and finish off with our AFC champions, the Cincinnati Bengals. They pick, of course, the number 31. I'll go first. I have Mr. Donovan West. Of course, everybody's been yelling and hollering about offensive line help. So, here we go. Go ahead and get you a center with Mr. West coming out of Arizona State. Ish.
For me, they did pick up offensive guys on the line. They did make some signings there, so I didn't feel like that was necessarily a big need. So I went ahead and got an impact player in the secondary in Louis Sine. Kind of similar to me along the lines of the Buffalo pick. You don't necessarily have a huge need here, but it does help when you look at the makeup of the challengers in the AFC and some of the moves they were able to make. I think any team that can help themselves in the secondary and get a player that's going to come in and, help you along the lines of some of these wide receivers you're going to have to face, it's a big time. And for me, Cincinnati, like you said, offensive line was a thing, but they addressed that with some of their signings. So now you get an impact player in the secondary to help you out. And I think Lewis is going to do that from Georgia.
Love the pick. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up tonight. Last pick of the first round, it would have went to the Los Angeles Rams, but of course, general manager says, F them picks. We don't care about picks. We care about Super Bowls, and I respect that tremendously because at the end of the day, we don't remember draft picks. We remember Super Bowl champions, okay? So with that being said, the Detroit Lions have the last pick in the first round, and I'll go first, and Ish, I'll let you finish this one off tonight. I kind of did what you did with Aiden Hutchinson in the second pick of the draft. I did it with Mr. Daxton Hill, cornerback from Michigan. I think he's a guy that's been rising throughout the offseason because of how versatile and how athletic he is. I'm not saying he is the next Charles Woodson, but I think he can be a very good piece for the Lions for the next 5 to 7 years if they continue this upward trend of rebuilding. And again, my Michigan guy staying in Michigan, I think it's a very good fit. Ish, I want to hear what you had to say to this one because this is very interesting to me. I'll let you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, so like I said earlier in the show, I loved everything you were saying about them getting a guy to come in and to sit behind Jared Goff and be that guy to move forward with and all that building and stuff. But like I said earlier, number 2 is too high for me. It puts too much pressure on the organization and the player drafted to have to play in that first year. And it makes a situation with Jared Goff where, people are going to start calling for him to be benched. And it's too much for a team that's clearly in a rebuild and wants to get a guy that's going to learn. I feel like they don't want their guy that they're going to bring in to play immediately. They want him to rest for a little bit, sit back, learn a little bit. And I think it's important they get a quarterback. This position is going to be interesting because I think if the Lions don't want a quarterback here, then there will be a huge market for any team that does feel like, hey, I like one of the quarterbacks that hasn't been drafted yet, and I'm going to go get him. The reason being is everybody, if you're not aware, the 5th-year option that is allowed with first-round picks makes selecting a quarterback in the first round so much better for you because if he does turn into a franchise guy, you have that 5th-year option that you can always choose to use. And that's why at 32, if you want a quarterback and you haven't got one yet, and there's one of those guys that you feel strongly about, you need to make that move. I think if it's not Detroit picking a quarterback here, another team is moving into the first round to get a quarterback here. For me, we're not doing trades, so I got Detroit taking Sam Howell. You could put any quarterback here, Desmond Ritter, Sam Howell, Matt Corral, whoever you like, whoever they end up liking. But I definitely think a quarterback is going here because of that 5th-year option and how important that is to potentially getting a franchise guy locked up for that 5th year.
Hey, that was beautifully spoken, Ish. That was beautifully spoken. I like everything that you had to say on that one. I'm just a person that just don't believe in Sam Howell. I don't think Sam Howell is going in the first round. I just don't honestly just don't believe in. I think he's a low budget Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, yeah,
That's just
yeah.
my
I
opinion.
mean,
But again, I'm not trying to shoot down your pick at all. I'm just
oh, I don't
stating
like it. I
that
don't like the pick.
I got you. I got you.
I just
I'm
put a
just stating
quarterback
that it's going to be
there.
it's going to be very interesting to see how this draft plays out because, like we have to, of course, disclose to everyone, this is just the draft as of now. There will be trades that are going to happen in the draft. There are going to be, like Ish said earlier in this show, there could be a player that's playing in the league right now, like Christian McCaffrey, that could be traded during the draft. So all this is going to change. It's not going to go down the way that we picture it from 1 to 32. But I will say this: it's going to be a hell of an entertaining type of event. And one thing about the NFL, hey, they know how to do the draft right. NBA and MLB, I need to take notes. Just letting y'all know. All right, with that being said, another episode of X Talking Ish is in the books. Y'all know how to find us next Tuesday on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. Right here at 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll be back next week with another week of the off season. And then after that, the week after that, we have the draft. So the draft is about 11 days away. So, hey, we shall see y'all very soon, and hopefully y'all have a great rest of the week, and we'll see y'all next Tuesday at our X Talking Ish. You have anything to tell? You have anything to tell the people?
No,
Not really.